You're requesting an adjournment?
No, Your Honor. We are now waiving the exam. I have a new form for you.
So you're waiving your right to a preliminary examination?
Yes.
You understand that a preliminary examination is a proceeding where the people would have to show by probable cause that the offenses alleged were you committed them?
Yes.
You understand you'll not have that hearing and you'll proceed to circuit court for further resolution?
Yes.
People also waive the right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Preliminary examination having been waived, defendant is bound over to circuit court on all 4 counts.
Your Honor, may I address bond briefly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Your Honor, my client is going to be requesting.
You want to do the circuit court arraignment, or you want to address?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we could do the circuit court arraignment.
Didn't follow the rules. Go ahead.
At this time, we'd waive formal readings and stand mute to the charges.
Defendant, every waive formal reading standing mute. Court will enter a not guilty plea as to all counts. Pretrial will be set for
March 19th at 1:30 p.m. with Judge Conlon.
March 19, 2025, 1:30 before Judge Conlon. As to bond.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is requesting a PR bond while he awaits his circuit court pretrial. He's a lifelong resident of Ypsilanti. He has an 8-year-old son that he provides. He has a job at E.B. Brown awaiting for him. As to the allegations in the police report, there were no, my client didn't threaten anybody. There was no violent actions on his behalf. So we would just ask for a PR bond in this matter, Your Honor.
Response from the people.
Your Honor, the fact that he was at the apartment complex drunk, waving a gun around or having a gun in his possession, to me suggests that he was absolutely posing as a threat. Being drunk with a firearm in the middle of an apartment complex, with the gun history and drug history that he has, I would ask that the bond stay exactly as it is, because I think it's appropriate both for community safety purposes and so that we can ensure he will remain with us and allow us to continue this prosecution successfully.
Anything else?
Yeah, Your Honor, I would just say that the alleged firearm was already seized. My client's already been in jail for 10 days now.
Motion for bond reduction is denied. Bond will continue.
Janet, on behalf of the debate, Williams, who is the Cringe.
You're requesting an adjournment.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm requesting a 2-week adjournment. I did ask for a lot of, I believe this is case where I emailed for a lot of discovery in this case. And it's also my understanding that DNA is going to be necessary. I'm sorry. Are you? Oh, no, Your Honor. I just emailed for discovery.
March 20th, 2025, 9 a.m. Bond will continue.
Your Honor, could you entertain client?
Pardon?
Would you be willing to entertain tethering for my client to his home address? No?
You're making a bond request?
Yes, Your Honor. You hit the thing really quickly. You went quick. You said everything really quick.
Well, make your argument.
Thank you. Your Honor, in this case, my client actually does not live in this area. He lives in the Detroit area. He has no desire to be anywhere near the address where this incident occurred. He can be tethered to the Detroit home, ensuring that the complaining witness will not have any experiences with him during that time frame, and he's asking for that opportunity.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got an intense court case for you. This one's about a man who thinks he can talk his way out of trouble with the judge. Let's dive right in and see what happens. The judge opens with a standard question. Can you state your full name for the record? The defendant, Michael Campbell.
The defendant had been trespassed with the residence and returned and tried to break into the residence. He broke her storm door trying to get in and only stopped when he saw police. He was found with a knife in his pocket and by the residents and hiding under the bed scared. He also has a previous history of a conviction for felony firearms and an armed robbery in 2017. I had great concern for her safety, given that he had already been trespassed from that residence and went back to that residence.
Anything else?
Your Honor, he could have, they were having contact with her consent. So when he did go back, he had something at the house. He just wanted it back because he had been there previously, Your Honor.
Motion for bond reduction denied. Bond will.
Thank you.
Michael Johnston, Your Honor. How are you?
Thank you.
This morning.
I'm just wonderful. Yourself?
I could be doing better, Your Honor.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it'd be that way. Go ahead.
Your Honor, we're asking the court to set the matter for a preliminary examination.
All discovery is complete.
Yes, Your Honor.
People have the witnesses available on the 16th. Preliminary examination will be set April 16th in person. 9 a.m. before Judge Fresh Hour.
Would like to be heard on bond. Good time.
Yes. Go ahead.
2.1 is the amount of his bond, and 2 are his phone calls. First, at the time that I charged this case, I requested a $50,000 cash surety bond. The magistrate set his bond in the amount of $40,000, 10%. I'm requesting, I'm the
40,000?
40,000, 10%. I
Okay.
don't know, yeah. But I'm requesting the 50,000 again. The defendant is charged with strangulation and domestic violence. There may be an additional charge of possession of meth coming as well. The suspected meth that the defendant had in his backpack upon arrest is currently at the lab. If we get those test results that come back meth, we'll be charging that also. But in this case, the defendant used one hand, put his hand around the victim's neck and strangled her. He then put his other hand into her face, covering her mouth and her nose. The lethality report that the police filled out reflected the victim was struggling to breathe while he was doing this. Prior to strangling her, he had hit her in the face with a plastic fan. And the police were able to observe injuries to her. She had redness to her neck, and she then received medical treatment. The defendant also has 5 holds. 2 are from Trenton, 1 is from Lincoln Park, and 1 is from Dearborn. Those 4 are all traffic offenses. However, he does have a Dearborn Heights domestic violence hold with a $500 bond on that. I don't know the circumstances of that domestic violence case, but I'll be reaching out to them to get a copy of that report. So first, I'm requesting that the bond be increased to $50,000. Yesterday, I received notice from an intern that works in our office who had the opportunity to review all of Mr. Johnson's jail calls. And the intern sent me a memo about 8 of the defendant's jail calls. I immediately reached out to Mr. Warren Green. I downloaded the 8 jail calls and sent them to Mr. Warren Green. And I had the Sheriff's Office Record Department yesterday send Mr. Warren Green all of the defendant's jail calls. So they've had access to them for almost as long as I have. In the 8 jail calls, the defendant placing calls to the victim despite a no contact order with the victim, they are discussing this case in detail. They've discussed the victim changing her story, that the victim is going to take responsibility, that she's going to say that she remembers things differently. The defendant directs her to call the prosecutor's office and, I quote, be on their ass a little bit, make them drop the charges, tell them that you want this dropped. As if Ms. Barroso was here, she would say that he then engages in.
No, Your Honor. We're waiving that, he says. This means that Michael is giving up his right to a preliminary examination, basically, the chance to challenge the evidence before moving on to the next stage of the case. The judge goes on, explaining that by waiving the hearing, the case will go directly to circuit court. There's no hearing to see if the evidence is strong enough to proceed. Michael's legal team agrees, and the judge binds the case over to circuit court.
To get out of jail, tell the prosecutors to drop the charges. My office has been in contact with the victim to continue to offer her support. The officer in charge from Ann Arbor yesterday was also in contact with her to offer her support as well to allow us to move forward with these charges. My office is into whether or not we will be filing a forfeiture for wrongdoing against this defendant should this victim ultimately decide to tell us a different story. However, based on the supports we're providing her, I'm hoping that is not the case.
And we're also looking into witness intimidation against the defendant. So A, please increase this bond to $50,000 as I initially requested, and he will revoke his jail call privileges as well. Thank you.
Response.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Ms. Hughes said, she did send those phone calls over to me yesterday. I had an opportunity to listen to those. I had an opportunity to speak to my client. Mr. Johnston understands that any contact with a complaining witness is a violation of his no contact order. He assures me he will not contact her whatsoever moving forward. Our only request is that the court retain the 10% privilege in his bond. If Mr. Johnston were to post, he would reside with his grandmother in Redford. He was employed fully before this as a sales rep at AT&T. Mr. Johnson has 2 children and only has 1 prior conviction on his record for a traffic.
Just to, and maybe I didn't understand what he said. He has a 2023 domestic violence conviction.
Your Honor,
Your Honor, I apologize. If that's true, all I can see in his Michigan criminal history is 1 prior conviction for the traffic matter.
Your Honor, may I speak, please?
We have an attorney. If you want to, you can go ahead.
Your Honor, I was not aware that I wasn't allowed to contact my fiance.
Really?
No, I didn't. When the video during the court in the inside of the jail cell has been glitching.
Your Honor,
Oh, it
Your
was
Honor,
a glitch when the magistrate was saying.
But I am aware now, Your Honor, I am aware now that I'm not allowed to contact her whatsoever. But I did not love bomb my fiance